All right, so we're live today with Mr. Calm Interath. I think I might have actually said it pretty close this time. How was I? Good?
Good. Interath.
Interath. All right, I was very close. Probably 85%. All right, well, hey man, good to see you today.
You too, David. It's always good to jump on these quick lives, talk shop.
Good. So we're live right now we're streaming live on Instagram. We're on X. We're on Facebook. We're on LinkedIn, and we're on YouTube. Man, imagine the technology we could do that now. It's crazy. It's great, huh?
A few years ago, I would say 5 or so years ago, not even possible. Like going live. I remember we were live streaming for the Special Olympics, which they never done before. And it was a big production. So now boom, click. Multiple platforms, like the world we live in.
Remember the old days, man? You used to AOL, America Online. You dial and you'd be beep 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 beep, squeak beep, and then you connect. And it's come a long way since then, huh? Fast, and exponentially.
Transition. Now we have AI, right? That's like we're gonna think about this and talk about this 5 years from now. I was like, oh, remember before we had AI? I was doing all this stuff. I was copying and pasting. I was thinking through my strategy. I was writing all my copy. Now AI, boom, can do it in seconds or minutes. That would take hours. Marketers and salespeople right now doing all the things that they do to do their role are taking them hours and days or weeks. And you, if you're listening, you today can do things now and saving yourself minimum 40% of what you're doing. I've seen teams, save 10 hours a week per person. I've seen marketing departments build a campaign that would have taken them several weeks, done in 2 weeks. So that's today's tech. AI is getting better every month, if not weeks. So imagine what that time frame is going to get even smaller and shorter and save us time, because there's I think the priceless value is time.
David. You said something that would take several weeks done, and maybe it was
building a campaign.
Yeah, build a campaign that would take several weeks done in 2 weeks. I think you mistook. You were going to say in minutes, like it can be done now, right? Never mind. Like several weeks in 2 weeks is the same thing. But right, am I missing something? But you can take something that would take weeks or months, and now do it in literally minutes or an hour, right? Like it's insane what you could do. And correct. I think it's funny too, because if you think about copy and pasting, I've become a master at copy and pasting stuff, like an absolute master. Like using, I use Mac, but like using your Mac notes. So you create something in ChatGPT, then you copy paste it to your notes, tailor it up a little bit, and then add it to wherever it's going, like your CRM, your emails, and then just adding links. And it's kind of wild what you can do now. Do you think this is putting all these marketing agencies? It must be really affecting marketing agencies, right?
Yeah, there was a study that came out that talked about what's the difference in like freelancers. Like a lot of even companies or agencies will outsource the work to let's say writers, right? Copywriters. So you go to a place like Upwork. Upwork is a very popular freelance platform to get marketers or writers or bloggers, copywriters. And they saw over the trends that the job posting decreased like 20%, some 30%. So meaning people aren't going to these platforms to hire writers because they can use AI to do that now. So as an agency, they're thinking about it's cost save for an agency. I ran an agency for 8 years. The cost savings, like, do I need to hire all these different copywriters, or can I maybe augment one writer and make them act and feel like they're 10 writers? And you can today with the technology of AI. You still need a human behind all these things, but I think the thing is all the tedious work, maybe the strategy that's getting there, building out the briefs, looking at trends and patterns and turning that into a brief, and then you write it. Like, this is all happening quickly with the AI. So yeah, I think we're seeing a lot of agencies trying to evaluate what's their value in the marketplace. Also, billable hours. We're seeing a lot of agencies questioning, probably like, because if you can do it in minutes or an hour, the so what? You're just gonna bill them $300? Let's say, for example, $300 an hour, when really you should be charging 5,000 for that, because it normally would have taken several hours, multiple different people, departments, and multiple days. So it's reevaluating, how do we go out and market and price what we can do now, because it's about, I think you should be pricing. So if you think about sales or marketing right now for yourself and what your product or service is, sell on the value, position yourself based on the value you give, not the time it takes to do the thing.
It just brings me back, and then I want to get into some things that people like. Let's give people listening some tips or some ways to use it, maybe outside of what they're doing right now. But I was thinking back to a couple of years ago. I paid a company, which was a good deal at the time. I paid them $1,000 for a 10 email with SMS campaign that was going to, go along. We were launching a product, and I wanted a promotional email campaign, 10 emails for 10 days and I paid him $1,000, and it took him a couple of days, and he sent it to me. And it's funny, what I found out after the fact is that he had used Jasper. Remember, I don't know if you ever used Jasper,
but no, we
did. And then I got Jasper for $29 and realized all I had to do was say, hey, I need a 10-day email campaign that promotes X, this, and this, and here's the outcome I'm looking for, and blah, 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 right? And bang, it's right there, and it's just amazing. But people, it's hard to be able to do that now. But I mean, do people? I think you could still probably get away with it, but you have to add your own creative, right? Like more than you're going to get just from the typical, output of your transformer.
Anyone can buy Jasper, David, but it still comes down to the person behind using. It's a tool, right? So you can put, like, if you have a carpenter, they can all have the same hammer, but it's going to come down still to the experience of that carpenter, how well they can use that tool. Like, you have certain carpenters that build beautiful cabinets because they're just so good at their craft. So you give them a tool, they're going to blow everyone else out of the water. So you give someone AI who's also a really smart marketer or a smart, copywriter, they're just going to exponentially
do better.
Yeah. It's just, it's a tool. So, but people have to also evolve. Once you understand the tool, you kind of change how you do something now. Now that this tool is saving you time in these areas, it's opened up opportunity for you to improve in these other areas or uncover newer areas that you can bring value in your role. If you're a business consultant, if you're a salesperson, if you do HR, like whatever that role is, there's always some type of application you can find with AI in your role.
So what's something, and by the way, I don't think we even introduced who you were, but you own a company called The Compound Effect, and you tell us what you do.
Yeah, we get so comfortable, David. You and I just jump on these calls because you and I talk all the time. So yeah, I think for people that don't know who we are, what we do.
Yeah, and I'll tell them what I do too.
I apologize.
I never do that either. It's funny, I never do that anymore. Here's what I do.
So I'm the CEO of Compound Effect, and the genesis of this company was I ran a marketing agency, full stack marketing agency. We did demand gen, and we did everything from website design, SEO, automations, all that stuff. But during the pandemic, what we saw was a lot of businesses had trouble scaling because they had issues with culture, right? The leadership team was misaligned when they're trying to figure out how to do a remote workforce, and they weren't prepared to be digital savvy because the pandemic forced companies to kind of really quickly accelerate digital savviness. So I would bring all these different partners in, different experts within my team or my network. And then when things are ready and things are in place, they would say, okay, now they're ready for marketing to do go to market, strategies and implementation. And what dawned on me was people need to have access to all different types of people with different knowledge to scale their business, because people don't understand what it takes to scale a business. Because they don't know. That's why you bring experts. You surround yourself with experts, and we help businesses scale based on where they are in their maturity level and where they are in their journey. And if you bring the right people at the right time, you get the compound effect, and that's the genesis of the company. I know it's a little bit longer winded explanation, but I think just hopefully that paints the picture a little bit to what we do. But my role within my expertise falls in the marketing go to market side with AI integration, like always considering AI across like marketing, sales, and client success.
Mm. And just for people that may not know me about what, I've been a real estate broker for the past 23 years. And we sold a lot of homes, over 1,100 homes. One of the same ways, the strategies that I used to sell homes, I became certified with a Massachusetts or training program called the Workforce Training Fund, where we can offer grants. So we use that same strategy, sales process, marketing process, to help businesses find new customers. And so what we do is we use marketing to find the customer, and we use people like Calm and other professionals to help us with that, incorporating AI and other strategies into the marketing to make it more effective. And then I also help people with their sales process, so that once we find a customer, now we can get that customer to the closing table and to the finish line by converting them with follow-up and other different strategies. So just kind of give you a little bit of, I don't think I've even shared that in a long time as like what I even do. People are just like, man, this guy just always shows up with his Genius shirt on, and that's it. So, but when we sell a lot of houses, we're still, I still love real estate. I'm still doing a lot of real estate. And my wife and I own a real estate brokerage, and real estate's just been really good to us. So talk to us. What's something going on right now, Com, that people should know about AI?
Interesting. Just like yesterday, I was reading an update. So Google just released their it's called VO, right? Video. So like
What is it?
You might have heard of ChatGPT's version. You might have heard of Sora. So remember the whole buzz back in several months ago when they say, "Hey, we're going to be releasing AI video generation, Sora," but it hasn't been fully released to the public yet. It's been a teaser. So basically, it'll create video clips.
That's
several
phenomenal.
seconds of video clips. So 30 video, and you can just say, I need the backdrop of New York City raindrops on with someone standing there looking out the window with raindrops, looking at the Statue of Liberty, and it will like create it for you. So because what you would need to do is bring a video crew out there, right, to shoot that type of like B-roll, that type of scene. Now you can just dream up a scene and it generates, right? That's what generative AI is all about. So it's getting better and better. It's not perfect. There's still some, with a keen eye, you'll notice some little like misformed shapes or even people's hands, but it's gotten so much better. So VO is available, but you have to kind of log into Google's cloud, like AI Vertex to see it before it's actually available to the public.
VO? What is it? VIO?
Yeah, VEO.
VEO.
Almost like video. And then they play around. I think to really, I saw like their example of this dog with the fur and the collar, and I mean the movement was so natural. Like you would have thought someone took a camera, was recording a real dog. Because you got to think all the hair fibers, right? The chain of the dog moving, like that. Those are hard things to mimic. And we saw in the past was there was disjointedness maybe with the collar and stuff. Now you see it's smooth. You can not know the difference. They also showed a person reading a book, and then they prompted like look up with a smile, and like the person looked up and smiled, and it was very natural. So to see where it is today and where it's going, I mean, you're also hearing a lot of these big companies like Paramount, a lot of these movie companies are partnering with these AI companies because they can help generate in cost savings and generating scenes. So it's here. And it's like, what does that mean if you're, creating video, if you're a marketer creating video, if you're a salesperson, you can create videos on the fly, maybe to help tell your story, maybe create case studies. But if you're a videographer or a video agency, you have to figure out how do you evolve your business, because this tool is available, and someone's probably not going to want you to go out there and spend 3 weeks shooting B-roll when you can just get it instantaneously by just prompting it. So that's what we're seeing. We're seeing that the next evolution is is the video side. The imaging is getting better too, David. Like we're seeing, so Google is called how am I saying it right? Is Imagine Imagen 3? That's their version. Same thing. Very beautiful images that you can test, and it's also in their AI Vertex platform right now. That platform is free to use. It's like an experimental area to like check out their new AI tools or models before they come out to the public. And it's free. That's the best thing about it.
So you know what? Well, before I want to ask you a question in a minute about the free and all the different platforms. But how is the video? So I think about like Synthesia as an example. You're familiar with Synthesia, right?
Yep.
We've been
very
using
familiar.
it.
We have
So
clients.
you go. It's kind of scary what you can do. You go in there. You create an avatar of yourself. You can program your mannerisms and your everything, right? The facial, facial, what's it called?
Deep, like
Just
a deep fake.
Yeah, well, like could be, right? Yeah, essentially that's what could happen. Somebody could take that, and then you have myself, my mannerisms, my facial expressions, all my goofiness, whatever, and then you just type, okay, this is what I want you to say, and you type it, and now all of a sudden you have a fake video. How is the VO or different than that, or is it?
There's a difference.
Or
yeah.
do they work? They work together. They would work together, right?
Two different use cases, David. So the Synthesia and HeyGen's the other provider. Those are the two main platforms that are really popular right now for that, like AI avatar of yourself. You can also use like other AI avatars if you don't want to use yourself. So here's a use case, right? People have to create content. Businesses have to create content, and businesses need people, right? Because the company's not creating the content. People within the company is creating it. So let's say you're the point person. You're the face of the brand. You're creating content, but if you want to scale that, you might say, you know what, I can create some other content that looks like me and talks like me. So that's a way to leverage that if you don't have the time. We're working with a CEO right now who's doing like weekly recaps of what's happening. So instead of them sitting in front of the camera to say, here's the update, what's happening in our industry and what's happening in our company, they can just get all of like the notes that's happened in the week. Like people come to a central place to share like everything, because normally you read all the notes, distill it, and then you basically like type out like a newsletter. But instead of doing that, they can read all the notes, have the same like written output, then ask like ChatGPT, for example. But in Synthesia, you can also get a script. Say, hey, write me a script to talk about these like 15 important pieces of news. It will write the script. You copy and paste the script, drop it into Synthesia, and now your AI avatar reads that, and it looks just like you and speaks like you. So you're basically increasing your productivity to send a message. It's not about like faking. Like you're not trying to trick people. I mean, you should disclose like this is our avatar, but we want to create as much of a different way to kind of communicate, because people like video. People consume video versus reading a long thing. So they'll watch that 3-minute video, and it looks like that person. And we saw higher conversions when we were doing the newsletter. It was pretty stagnant. It was kind of dropping. Once we started doing the videos, the engagement level and the open rates went up double digits. So that's one use case, right? But that's kind of like that type of use cases, like creating content that you can control, versus generative AI video where you're actually prompting it because you're wanting it to create something, saying, give me this scene. An astronaut sitting on a bull, whatever, riding through like a Western town. So it's creating something that's from scratch. That's the difference. So that's the difference between like generative video AI versus like using an AI avatar to basically kind of represent you to create content.
So about, I don't know, maybe it's about 5 months ago now, I interviewed myself. I used my GPT to interview me on a podcast, and you can go back. I forget what episode it is, but it did a phenomenal job. But it was just an audio, like it was a black screen speaking with a dot. Next level is we'll be able to use this either, probably not Synthesia, well maybe Synthesia or this VO to actually interview us for a podcast, right? Like we could say, hey, I want this avatar to look like a brunette, female, right?
That's available now, actually, David.
Is it really? And
Yeah,
then
we're working with
wow.
we're working with a recruiting company, national recruiting company, and they have to do a lot of interviews. So they say, "Come, like, how
Mm,
can we scale this? Because we're in so many interviews in
mm,
screening process." I was like, "Oh, well, you can still have the traditional like live path, right? But if people are open to it, because I think about this, if you're looking for a job, you come home and you have kids like me. I got 4 kids. I'm doing this at night. So then, okay, I found this opportunity. It's like now you want to book time to do the interview, and you're like, well, I'm working. I can't do this interview. But if you can do an on-demand interview at 11 p.m. and AI will do the interview, and that's the only time that works for me, I'm gonna hit yeah, let's do the interview right now. Now the AI looks like a person, like you said, could be a brunette, very natural language, looks real, produces an interview and have a conversation back and forth. It doesn't feel like a
wow.
chatbot. It feels like a person having a conversation. You can ask questions, interact with it. On the back end, once the interview is done, because it's all data, right? It's going to scrub the transcript. It's then going to score it and say, you know what? I think this candidate rank 1 to 5 for this, for this, for this. It will give a ranking. And then if it passes, it then sends that person's contact information to the recruiter to say, hey, they deserve a second interview. So this is how we're saving a huge step in the first screening, having it
Mm.
done as an option if someone wants to, if they're willing to have an AI do the interview. And then when they're ready, you still, of course, want to finish it with a real person, of course. But we're saving easily 40% of the workflow by freeing up their time so and they're making it accessible. So they're actually providing a better experience for candidates that can't do these interviews in work hours. They can, they do it at their own time.
So this is why I like hanging out with you, man, because I learned all this new stuff. So and I think about the sales process, like what you just said. Like in order for me, like people want to get on strategy calls with me, so I have to jump on a call. I have to ask. It's always the same, maybe 15 questions, and you build some rapport through it. But ultimately, the rapport really happens at the beginning, not necessarily on a strategy call. Sometimes it does, but I'm thinking you could have an avatar that could do the strategy call or the qualification call that then moves them to a demo, which could also be done with an avatar, which then moves to the close, which I think could be done at some point with an avatar or AI. And then if the AI can't close, then all of a sudden, okay, now get me involved. Like, do you think we'll get to that point where, I mean, you may not even need, you could just have, like I always, on our calls, you have the monthly round table. I always say clone myself is like the biggest thing I'm looking to do with this. Like, I want to create a version of myself that's AI, thinks like me, acts like me, knows what to say, right? So that's, to me, that's the next level.
They're doing that, like they're trying to, they call it AI agents, right? Or agentic AI. So they are working on that now. Some sales organizations are using AI to do the calls, to even if they're closing, they're probably not as good as a human. But there was a story of a CFO that got sold by an AI and signed off on, like, I think a $20 million deal, and got in trouble. But they were, I want to say they weren't tricked, but the AI was good enough to close a $20 million deal. So
Yeah.
it's available. It's out there, David. It's just going to get better and better and better.
So
So
they
I
got
think
in
a lot of organizations,
trouble. So when you say they got in trouble, it's because they didn't know they were engaging with an AI. Is
yep.
because that I can see that. But some people be like, I mean, I may not even care. Like, hey, if there's something I need and I want and I'm interested in, whoever can be the most efficient, right? Make my life the easiest and get me what I want. I don't care if it's AI, human, bot, computer, right? Agent. At the
Yeah.
end of the day.
It's a tool. You got to give people options. I always tell my clients when they're building out things for communications or websites, people have different ways that they want to consume content. Like my wife, she likes to read. She won't watch a video. She'll prefer to read something. If it's, if she's trying to really understand something, she wants to see it in written format, step by step. Other people need to see videos. Other people need both. Other people just want audio, right? They don't want to watch it. They want, like, that's why podcast has a space. So you want to give people options, because again, if your clients buy and they have different behaviors, so you need to really understand your target audience first, and like how they buy, what makes them consume and get engaged with your brand, then meet them there. If you just give them one option, that's why businesses are losing when it comes to, like, why aren't we getting enough, like, market share, or we're not growing our sales? It's because you're not really understanding the audience. And to that vein, David, you can actually work with ChatGPT and build a marketing GPT, which is like basically like your own, like, marketing expert. Or you can just build just ask a thread, like start a new thread and say, you are a marketing guru and you help me build, target audiences and ideal client profiles and personas. Can you interview me to help me build and understand my audience? So right now, today, you can use ChatGPT to help you build your audience so you
Yeah, I
understand
like
it,
that.
and use that information to then update what you're doing for your marketing and sales strategies and how you're communicating. Um, I did that the other day to kind of just validate, because I wanted to see, like, how good is this? And I spent 2 hours, like, having a conversation with it, and it was
Yeah.
pretty damn, like, it was really good. I mean, it was beautiful, like the way it answered, and it really took, and because I gave it my background, it was asking me, like, me as a person, like my being, my DNA, like we had, like, deep. And when I say conversation, I was actually speaking to it, like you mentioned earlier, David, because it's
Yeah.
faster for me to speak versus type. Um, and then I said, okay, I need you to update. If I were to have, like, my bio, I need to do, like, a one paragraph bio for a speaking engagement. Write it. So it was able to do it very well, because I took the time to give it context of my brand identity that I wanted. And that's what companies can do today using ChatGPT. And that's how we help train a lot of companies and individuals on, like, uncovering ways to use this tool. ChatGPT is popular, but people can use Gemini, people can use Copilot, people can use Claude, which is Anthropic. You got Meta. So there's a lot of tool brands out there. Just you just got to choose the tool that you like.
So final question for today. I know we want to keep this to about 30 minutes. To that point, I mean, there's so many different, I think it could be confusing, because I use OpenAI, but I also use Claude, and I've tried them all, right? Google's version, you got Grok, right? Is X's so. What are your like? What should someone do? Do you have a suggestion? Should you try them all? Should you just find one that you really like? And that's kind of, I always end up back to OpenAI. Like that for me,
Yeah.
I just end up back to ChatGPT no matter what when I try the other ones. Maybe just because I've invested so much time, it kind of understands me better, if that makes sense.
It understands you because you spent more time. Like, no different than an employee, right? Is that employee that you've had more time and engagement with and conversations with, like ChatGPT, right? Using OpenAI, the more time you have engagement and talk to it, it knows you over time. So
Hmm.
when you try to get a new employee or you go to a new platform, you
Yeah.
have to give it time. So that's what we typically see. The thing with all these platforms, David, they catch up to each other, right? It's kind of like, if you think of cars, you have, like, Toyota and Honda, two great car brands. There's different features and benefits, so it's up to you. Like, why do you want a Toyota versus a Honda truck? You have to kind of look at, what do you want out of it. So every person has their own individual subjective needs, and that's how you have to figure that out using the AI. But if you're gonna do it for the first time, I would say use ChatGPT, because they're the biggest player with the most market share that people use, and it has a lot of great capabilities. Gemini is the next one. It's Google's. I mean, it's Google's product. There was actually just a report that came out, I think a week ago. One of the newest model that they're testing for Gemini, which is Google, beat ChatGPT's. Like I say, it's literally a ping pong. Like,
How does that mean? What does that mean though? How do you beat ChatGPT? Like, give us an
So
example.
they have it's like an AI arena. So all these folks, they put their models in there, and sometimes they don't disclose the model. They just give it, like, random numbers, like model, XYZ 1 2 3 4 5, right? To not say that this is like Gemini or something. So it gives an objective view, and they run it through these tests, and there's like a leaderboard. So it gives it's the best objective platform out there to kind of see which models are doing well for like strategy, um, data, coding, mathematics, things like that. It's like, so you can see which models are doing the best. And that's where, like, if you're coding, you want to use it to help you do code, there's that's going to give you insight which model you want to use. If you're doing a lot of strategy or writing, you're going to find out which platform is best for you. So that kind of ties back to your original question. So that's how you would know. But if you are new to this, ChatGPT is going to do a lot of great things for you. I think that's a great one to start with. Again, I would use Gemini, and then Claude is one that just a lot of copywriters and writers that I talk to and work with, they love using Claude. I use Claude too, but I don't use it as often because of how it's so natural on its output. It sounds so as realistic as how a human would write. So if that's important to you, I think you should definitely check out Claude.
Yeah, it's funny when I use Claude. I feel like it's like I'm kind of a direct to the point communicator, and I feel like Claude, everything's like fluff, like super. And I think even my ChatGPT used to be like that, but now it understands me. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing out because I'm such a creature of habit that I'm just like, all right, I'm just gonna stick with what I know because it's easier. Or maybe I should go explore some of these because I didn't really give Claude a chance. Like I did it. Yeah, I tried it 4 or 5 times and I just keep getting really fluffy stuff. And I'm like, I don't, it doesn't sound like me.
Interesting. These tools are what people are fearful about these tools, David, is that they're really good at persuasion, like persuasive copy. And one of the ways they do that is they actually try to mimic your tone. So I'm not surprised that you gravitate to ChatGPT because how you speak and how it will actually adjust its output to mimic and mirror you, which is a sales tactic, right? As you know. So that is probably why like Claude hasn't given you that that type of output because it hasn't known you that well yet versus ChatGPT does. So it mimics your mannerism and cadence, which is interesting because even humans would do the same thing. So that was really interesting when I heard about that from some of the researchers that mentioned that.
All right, people listening, we'll be back 2 weeks from now. We'll do this again. All right. What if somebody's just listening to this? They're not really doing anything right now. Where would you suggest they start?
I say go to ChatGPT and then create this is kind of fun. I created a performance coach. I say, hey, I want you to be my performance coach. Help me with my business and personal goals, and then just talk to it. And you're gonna see like how almost so surreal how real it is, like as a person. And by just doing that, it's gonna open up, I think, the way you think about how to use AI for your work, for productivity.
So what I'd like to do, I don't know if we'll be able to do this in the next 2 weeks, but I want us to set up an avatar that will be on the next call with us. How's that sound? And it'll engage with us in the conversation. How does that sound?
All right, we'll do that for you. We'll build that for you.
Cool,
yours,
right?
David. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, I feel like we can get that set up, man.
I don't know if it's gonna be done in a week, but let's
maybe that's a good point. Probably because we got the holidays coming up, so sometime in January we'll get that done. Yep. How's that sound?
We gotta test it and just put it through its paces before it's ready for prime time.
Then we'll get it. We'll have a GPT avatar robot agent on here with us that's talking to us, engaging, asking great questions. Yeah, I think that's the next level, man. Exciting.
All right.
Well,
thanks for having me,
happy
David.
holidays, my man. Appreciate you, and thanks for coming on. And we're gonna keep this thing going, man.
Yeah, happy holidays, everybody. Go out there, be curious, and just spend 20 minutes on it. You're gonna see a huge ROI on the AI tool. Don't be blown away and be left behind because you're too scared to try it.
Oh, before I wrap, what do you? Bitcoin just hit 100K yesterday. I don't know if you know anything about that. Bitcoin broke 100K, I should say. No, you don't? All right, you need to get with the program, brother. All right, anyway, that's another conversation. So, but Bitcoin just hit 100K. It's huge news. So, all right, my man, appreciate you.